Hey y'all, thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget, if you like this video, to like it and subscribe to my channel. So today I want to talk about the 5 postpartum body surprises that I experienced. I've said this in several of the videos. Every woman is different, every body is different, so not all of these will be experienced by every person, but just thought I would give some tips from what I've learned along the way. Oh my gosh, there is a huge spider. Hold on, I'll be right back. I literally hate spiders, and my husband's on a conference call right now, so. But that thing is, he's gone. Anyways, so the first one I want to talk about is the bleeding. So I obviously knew that I was going to bleed after having a baby, especially delivering vaginally, but I guess I just wasn't expecting it to be as much as it was. So I remember asking the nurse, because she helped me go to the bathroom the first time after having River. I remember asking her, like, is this a normal amount? Because I just felt like it was so much. I thought I was hemorrhaging. And she was like, I promise you, this is completely normal. So they load you up with these big old pads and these like disposable underwear. And I basically had to change out both of those every time I went to the bathroom. And that went on for probably, I would say, like 4 or 5 days. And I bled pretty heavily, at least for the first week. And then it kind of started weaning off, and I thought I was done. I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. A week isn't too bad. I started spotting, sort of like what your period is, like once you're almost done. And so at that point, I think I started moving around more around my house and starting to clean, which was not a good idea. Because I remember one day specifically, we had our family over to meet River. So I was probably up moving around more than I usually did. And at one point I stood up too fast and I felt a huge gush of blood. And I went into like panic mode because I soaked an entire pad within the hour. And I used to work in a gynecology office. So I know, like, we always tell our patients, if you soak a pad, 2 pads within the hour, if you soak a pad every hour for 2 hours, then you need to go to the hospital. So I just decided to lay down, and then I soaked a full other pad. So I called my OB. He said just to keep an eye on it, and then if I was still bleeding 2 hours later, after laying down and not doing much, then I needed to go to the hospital. So I was like in full panic mode with COVID going on. All that to say, after laying down, it definitely slowed down. But I just want to say to all of the future mamas out there to please take it easy, because your body just went through something extremely traumatic. And I think I was just up trying to walk and do laundry and do the dishes. And not that my husband wasn't, because he was incredible, still is incredible about helping around the house. But I think just for me, I wanted to get going again because I hate sitting still. But it was a really good learning moment for me just to take it easy. And it was scary because nobody likes to bleed that much. So that was a shock. Another tip, take everything from the hospital. I took all, like, my nurse was so wonderful. She kept giving us like more like full packs of the pads and the disposable underwear. She was like, just take them all, take them all. And so I never had to buy anything extra, which was super helpful. So yeah, that's number 1. Number 2 is the cramping, the uterine cramping with breastfeeding. So a friend of mine actually did warn me about this, but I thought that it was just going to be like slight cramping, like a period. I've never had really bad period cramps. These were full blown like contractions, like early contractions. And I just remember like telling David, like, I was in the hospital breastfeeding, and I was like, as soon as he would latch, like, it would hurt so bad. But the good thing is that is like, I think it's just such a beautiful example of how God made the body, because the purpose of that is to contract the uterus back to its normal self and to help stop the bleeding. So that sucking motion that the baby does when they latch and when they're nursing helps contract those that uterus back to its normal size. So I was pretty much on ibuprofen and Tylenol I think it was every 6 hours they had me taking it. And we just stayed on top of it because it was pretty painful. And I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but It was a lot stronger or more intense than I was thinking it was going to be. So number 3 are the leaky boobs. So I think I mentioned this in another video when I was going through our diaper bag. So a friend of mine gave me a huge bag of the pads that go inside of your bras, and I am so thankful because you just like will ruin your bras, like, and shirts and everything, because you just leak, especially if you hear your baby crying. That has happened so many times to me where I can hear River crying in the other room, and like all of a sudden I feel a letdown, and that was another thing, is I thought that it would just kind of like dribble out. Let me just tell you, when you have a letdown, it is like full on squirting. I'm sorry if that's TMI, but like, I can't even tell you how many times I've been in the shower and like, if I just think of River or think about nursing or anything, it will start squirting. So that was just a huge shock to me. I had no idea what to expect with breastfeeding and what your boobs do. So I just had no idea that it was actually going to be squirting out and soaking everything possible. So that was the 3rd thing. The 4th thing is the tears. So, and I want to take a little bit of this in a serious mode too, because a lot of moms go through the postpartum depression. I actually didn't go through that. My tears were for like the first 2 weeks, really. I mean, you just have so many emotions. Like, you have this new baby and it's overwhelming, you're tired. Most of my tears were honestly from happiness. Like, I would just look at River or look at my husband holding him and just like burst into tears. I could hardly even like talk about him without crying. So that was my experience, which I still wasn't expecting, to just cry on the drop of a hat, like with everything. But I've had several friends that have had really serious postpartum depression symptoms, and that is a real thing. I actually had a doctor tell me that having a baby, it's essentially like taking 100 birth control pills at once, because just the change in the hormones. So you can imagine what that feels like to your body. It's just a huge change to have this baby and then all of a sudden not have the baby in there, and your hormones are fluctuating and all that kind of stuff. So I say that to encourage women, if you are feeling like you're crying more than usual or it's just not your normal, please reach out to your provider, because it's a serious thing, and there are some women that need to get on medication, and it's completely fine. Like, it may just be for a short period of time. It could be for longer. So that's just something that I really feel passionate about, helping women understand that it's normal. You're not weird. Like every single woman, I feel like, goes through the emotional changes and some tears to some degree. Just some situations are different than others. So that was the 4th thing. And the 5th thing for me was pretty shocking, because I've been pretty active most of my life, and before I got pregnant, I was really active, like going to the gym all the time, and I felt like my core was really strong. Let me just tell you, when you have a baby, you're like, afterwards, your core is shot. Like, I just remember even sitting up in bed after having him it was a workout. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. My cat has been stealing my child's socks and dragging them around the house, so I just found her dragging one. Anyways, what was I talking about? Weak core. So yeah, I like right after having him when I was in the hospital, I just like remember feeling like it was an actual workout just to sit up, to go to the bathroom, or even to nurse him or whatever. I would have to like grab onto the bed and push off. And still to this day, he was 10 weeks last Thursday. I think that's right. It's still like, there are times when I'm like laying in bed and trying to move around, and it's very different. And I've started working out again and trying to rebuild my core, taking it slowly. But yeah, that was a huge shock for me. I guess because I assumed, since I had a strong core before, that it would just go back to normal. And that is not the case. So yeah, so those have been the 5 things for me that like I feel were the biggest difference or shock, I guess. But so many women go through different things. I have a friend, she's had hair loss. A lot of people have, different facial, either acne or hyperpigmentation. There's just so many things that the body goes, like so many changes that happen after you have a baby. And everybody is so unique and different. So this was just my story. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.